Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our last council meeting of the year, 2025. I was going to say something crazy like holy Mackinac, but I know that there's no Maple Leaf fans here, so we're going to move right along. We got a resolution moved by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Councillor Elliott. The Council Town of Minto receives the closed session report regarding advice that it's subject to solicitor-client privilege for information. Further, that the council approves the confidential direction to staff. All in favor of that motion? It's carried. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can you do number 2, please?
Pardon me. I apologize for that.
It's okay.
I have to ask if there's a disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I have one.
I knew that. I apologize for that. Go ahead, Councillor Dirksen.
It's item number 9A, consideration of the engineer's report, Drain 3, and 16A, the associated bylaw. And the reason for declaration is the property owned by my husband and I is included on the assessment listing.
Thank you very much. Okay. Going to move along then. Resolution moved by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. The minutes of the Town of Minto, October 28, 2025. Closed session meeting, November 4th, 2025. Operating budget meeting, November 25th, 2025. And the capital budget meeting and December 2nd, 2025 regular council meeting be approved. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. Resolution moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the Council of Town of Minto convene into Committee of Adjustment. All in favor of that motion? It's carried. So we're going to start tonight with a public hearing, and it has to do with minor variance 2025-02 Ontario 262-6514 Limited. Jeff Metzger. Going to call the public hearing to order. State that any decision reached by this committee today cannot be used to set a precedent. Each application considered by the committee is dealt with on its own merits, and no two applications are exactly the same. This public hearing is to consider a minor variance application, MV 2025-08 Ontario 262-6514 Limited, care of Jeff Metzger. I'm going to ask our Secretary Treasurer to state the following information.
Thank you. The property subject to the proposed minor variance application is legally described as Mary Caswell's Survey Part Lots 76 and 77, Registered Plan 61R22277 Part 2, and is municipally known as 200 to 206 Elgin Street, Palmerston, in the Town of Minto. The subject property is approximately 0.12 hectares or 0.3 acres. The purpose and effect of this minor variance application is to seek relief from the minimum rear yard, minimum lot area, and maximum lot coverage requirements for a 4-unit street townhouse. Sections 12.2.6.7, 12.2.6.1, and 12.2.6.10 of the Town of Minto's Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 0186 as amended requires a minimum rear yard of 7.6 meters or 24.9 feet and a minimum lot area of 280 meters squared or 314 feet squared and a maximum lot coverage of 45%. However, a reduced rear yard of 4.6 meters, 15 feet, for parts 1, 2, 3, and 5, a reduced lot area of 200.4 meters squared or 2,156 feet squared for part 2 and 200.1 meters squared or 2,153 feet squared for part 3, and an increased maximum lot coverage of 58.3% for parts 2 and 3 are proposed. Additional relief may be considered at meeting at this time. The notices were mailed to the property owners within 200 feet or 60 meters of the subject property, as well as the applicable agencies on December 2nd, 2025, and posted on the subject property on December 2nd, 2025. Reports and comments have been received from both the Town of Minto and the County of Wellington.
Thank you. I'm going to ask our Town of Minto Planning Coordinator, Sama Hagai, to provide some comments, please.
Thank you, Mayor Territon. Good evening, all. And the application before the Committee of Adjustment concerns a property located at 200 to 206 Elgin Street, Palmerston. The proposal is the result of 3 severance applications for this property that were presented to Council on October 21st, 2025, to create 4 new residential lots from an existing 4-unit townhouse in a medium-density residential zone. As a part of the severance conditions, the applicant is required to obtain zoning compliance, which can be achieved through a minor variance. This minor variance includes a reduction in the required rear yard setback from 7.6 meter to 4.6 meter for parts 1, 2, 3, and 5. The reason for this deficiency is the original front edge was on Jane Street prior to the severance application. Following the severance, the front edge will shift to Elgin Street, resulting in the former interior side yard becoming a rear yard. It also proposes a reduced lot area of 200.4 square meter and 200.1 square meter for parts 2 and 3 respectively, where a minimum of 280 square meter is required. In addition, the applicant is requesting an increase in the maximum permitted lot coverage for again parts 2 and 3 from 45% to 58.3%. The application has been circulated to the relevant agencies as usual, including the Source Water Protection Authority and Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, as well as to the property owners within 60 meters of the subject property. No concerns have been raised with the town. The town has received a report from the county indicating no issue with the proposal. Town of Minto staff have reviewed and discussed the application and also have no concerns. The application meets the 4 tests for a minor variance under the Planning Act. It is considered minor in nature and maintains the general intent and purpose of both the zoning bylaw and the official plan. So I would be happy to answer any question you may have.
Save the questions for a few moments. Is the owner applicant, Mr. Jeff Metzger, here? Okay. Then I'm going to ask if there's anyone wishing to speak to this application. Okay. I'm going to open up questions and committee. Any questions for Sama? No questions? Then I'm going to ask our Secretary Treasurer, Mick Robb, to present.
Thank you. I'll provide a resolution for the committee to consider. Upon a resolution being carried or defeated, the notice of decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to be signed by all members of the Committee of Adjustment in favor of the decision. I will provide the decision for your consideration that the Town of Minto Committee of Adjustment approves the application by 2626514 Ontario Limited, care of Jeff Metzger, for the property legally described as Mary Carswell Survey, Part Lots 76 and 77, Register Plan 61R22277, Part 2, municipally known as 200 to 206 Elgin Street, Palmerston, in the Town of Minto, seeking relief from clauses 12.2.6.7, 12.2.6.1, and 12.2.6.10 to permit a minimum rear yard setback of 4.6 meters or 15 feet for parts 1, 2, 3, and 5, a minimum lot area of 200.4 meters squared or 2,156 feet squared for parts 2 and 200.1 meters squared, 2,153 feet squared for part 3, and a maximum lot coverage of 58.3% for parts 2 and 3.
Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder, please, for that? Thank you. Deputy Mayor Anderson, Councillor Zimmerman. Is there any other questions? We've been through this a few times. Final stages here, so I'm going to call the question. All in favor of this motion? That's carried. So I'm going to say anyone wishing to receive a copy of the notice of decision of the Committee of Adjustment in respect to the minor variance application must make a written request to the clerk of the Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, Ontario, NOG 1ZO, or by email at annaleen@town.minto.on.ca. I'm going, if there's no further questions, I'm going to officially adjourn this public hearing. We're going to move along to delegations. Got a resolution. Moved by Councillor Zimmerman, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the Town of Minto Committee of Adjustment convenes into committee of the whole. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. So we have a public meeting this evening. Notice of consideration for engineer's report for Drain 3. Councillor Dirksen has declared a conflict, so she's going to step aside. I'm going to act as chair of this public meeting, and I'm going to ask Clerk McRobb to outline the purpose of the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. The purpose of the meeting is to consider the engineer's report prepared by Streamline Engineering, Inc. of Milverton, Ontario, dated August 26, 2025, and addendum dated November 25th, 2025 for Drain 3. Notices of the meeting were sent to 70 landowners along with the report and addendum. As well, copies of the report were circulated to town staff, Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, Departments of Fisheries and Oceans Canada, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs.
So I'd just like to say that everybody that wants to speak tonight will have an opportunity. I'd like to keep it calm, cool, and collected. You'll have a chance to speak at the mic if you want to, but I'm going to, so when you step up to the mic, if you don't mind stating your name, we know the reason why you're here, so, and then you can pose your question or statement. I'm going to ask our engineer, Mr. Trevor Kipfer, to summarize his report. Welcome, Mr. Kipfer.
Thank you very much, Mayor Turton and Council. My name is Trevor Kipfer. I'm an engineer with Streamline Engineering. We're based out of Milverton, Ontario. In the crowd with me is Michael Seaman. Him and I were kind of the main contact people for the project with the landowners. And we certainly appreciate the opportunity tonight to be doing work within the town of Minto. So if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. So tonight I'll be presenting a proposed work on municipal drain number 3. So municipal drain number 3 is a drainage channel that services an approximate 5,500 acre drainage area and is located generally between Harrison and Tiviotdale. In October 24th of 2024, the drainage superintendent for Minto had circulated a letter to owners along municipal drain number 3 inquiring if they have any specific concerns with the function of the drain on their property, as well as if they need a crossing either established or improved on their property. There was some interest expressed in completing this work on both the channel and in completing some crossings. And as a result, we were appointed to do work for the town in February of 2025. Initial meeting was held with the involved owners along the course of the drain. That was held on February 26th of 25. It was fairly well attended. This meeting sparked some interest with some additional landowners where we added a little bit more work to the project. So I'll just look at some of the pictures. Actually, if you wouldn't mind going back to the previous one. So you can see the picture on the right. Some of the landowners were lacking crossings through the drain and were forced to cross through the ditch with their equipment. And if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Again, some more picture on the left there is an old culvert crossing. The middle one shows that crossing in the spring of this past year with the laneway actually being overtopped. Picture on the right was again another crossing where they had used some wood to kind of set up a bit of a retaining wall. So some of these structures were just aged or not doing so well. The next picture we have here summarizes all of the locations where crossings have been proposed. So starting all the way up at Highway 6, just to the north of Tividale, and then we've got a handful of crossings between there and the final location. I won't go into too much detail on that. So we conducted a survey of the drain and completed design and cost estimates of all the requested crossings, as well as recommendations for the improvements to the drainage channel. We presented this information on May 29th, 2025 at a meeting. All property owners within the drain watershed boundary were invited to the meeting, and again, the meeting was well attended. Some additional concerns were expressed specific to flooding near the drains crossing of Highway 6. As a result of this meeting, and a petition was then submitted following the meeting, and that work was added to the project as well. So yeah, that's the right slide there. So based on our investigations, meetings, follow-up discussions with many of the affected owners, our final proposed recommendation includes improving 3 existing crossings on municipal drain number 3, establishing 2 new drain crossings, improving the Wellington Road 6 crossing, establishing 1 at-grade crossing, completing a jack and bore under 2 vital gas mains just on the north side of Highway 6 there, as well as some minor pipe work, completing 1.7 kilometers of channel deepening and widening, 3.6 kilometers of channel cleanout, and some other miscellaneous work. So this was summarized in a report that was dated August 26th of 25 and provided to the property owners. The original report submission included some maintenance activities that had already been completed on the drain. So we provided an addendum to the report, which landowners received in advance of this meeting. And the addendum separated some of the maintenance activities that were completed from the proposed crossings and recommended work. So if we go to our next slide, so our total estimated project costs, we have a $678,300. Of that, $482,800 has been assessed to private lands, $25,400 to municipal lands, $122,000 to Wellington County lands, $48,100 to various utilities. For this project, the OMAFA grant applies for any agricultural property assessments, which amounts in about $158,000 estimated for grant. And then if you mind going to the next slide, please. So what makes up these costs? So construction is the largest chunk at $434,000. Landowner allowance just shy of $63,000. Engineering, tendering, construction review at $131,000. And other costs such as HST printing costs, permitting fees, etc., at just shy of $51,000. And that is all I have to present at this time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Kipfer. Going to ask to call any speakers wishing to provide information that might influence council's decision on the matter. Okay, I'm going to ask council questions, any further comments in reference to this drain? Yeah, I'd like to thank you for the presentation, Mr. Kipfer, and I'm going to move along to, I'm going to ask if there's any members of the public who wish to add or remove their name from the petition. Seeing none, I'm going to ask our town drainage superintendent if he's got anything to add, present, report or anything. Welcome, Mr. Ryan Binkley.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. Thank you, Trevor and Michael with Streamline. I think they did a good presentation here. I'll keep this short. I just wanted to provide council and the public here a little more clarification on the next steps after this decision. So obviously I've outlined 2 decisions here for council. One, to accept the drainage works as is and provide a provisional bylaw, which then opens up an appeals window. So it's not the final approval of the drain. There's still an appeals window for the public or the landowners to appeal anything in the report. And there's also a quarter revision date where they are able to dispute any costs or assessments. So if we were to approve a bylaw today or a provisional bylaw, we would set the new date for January, or the quarter revision date for January 6th at 3:00. So for anybody there, that'll be our next council meeting here, and that's where you'll have a chance to dispute any costs. The other option before council today, not recommending at this point because there hasn't been any dispute, but to refer the report back to the engineer. Yeah, so at this point, without anybody, no reason to do that, I think it's pretty clear what the option is.
Okay. going to state that the council must decide whether or not to proceed with the project by provisionally adopting the engineer's report by bylaw or referring the report back to the engineer for modification. Exactly what Ryan said, saying there is no right to appeal assessments or other aspects of the engineer's report. At this meeting, these appeal rights will be made available later in the procedure.
For you,
Go ahead, clerk.
Mayor Turton. If I could read out kind of the motion as written by Ryan, that it could be voted on, if that works for you.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is that the council of the town of Minto hereby receive report Public Works 2025-024 Municipal Drains Reconsideration Meeting prepared by the Drainage Superintendent for information purposes. And further that the municipal drain number 3 improvement and extension engineers report prepared by Streamline Engineering, Inc., dated August 26, 2025, and addendum dated November 25th, 2025, be received and provisionally adopted by council through first and second reading of the related provisional bylaw. And further that the quarter revision for municipal drain number 3 improvement and extension be scheduled for Tuesday, January 6th, 2026 at 3 p.m. in the council chambers. We would need a mover and a seconder.
Thank you, Clerk McRob. Thank you. We have a mover and a seconder, Councillor Elliott, Councillor Gunson. It's a procedure. We're going to move along here, I think. I'm going to, if everybody understands what we're voting on, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of the motion? That's carried unanimously, and that's pretty straightforward this evening. I'd like to officially adjourn the meeting unless there's something that we've missed. Again, thank you for coming, and I'm going to officially adjourn the meeting considering the engineer's report, drain number 3. So you folks can stay for the rest of the meeting if you want, or you can vacate the place right now.
$7, that's what I owe. $7, that's what I owe. How to do it. Forget to shower? It's a great turn. Okay. Much cooler.
So nobody runs off.
Okay, so we don't have any delegations. We are into public question period. The mayor, as chair of the meeting, has a duty to preserve order and maintain. That's fine. I don't. Yeah, we have one young man here.
He knows rules. He better know rules.
Although council strives to hear and be responsive to resident concerns in order to preserve order, maintain decorum, and comply with the town's procedural bylaw, I wish to caution any participants in question period that questions that use discourteous language will not be permitted. Questions that seek policies or bylaws outside the town's jurisdiction, including policies or bylaws that might violate human rights legislation, will not be permitted. Anything that constitutes speeches or statements not in the form of a question will not be permitted. Repeat questions will not be permitted, including the repetition of questions from prior meetings. All persons shall be limited to no more than 2 questions. We're moving along to correspondence if there's nobody that has a question. Okay. We have one item correspondence tonight. We have a recommendation moved by Councillor Potvin, second by Councillor Gunson. The council received the correspondence as information. Has to do with the province-wide countable alcohol container return system. We do not have the issue here in our municipality, but some of the northern communities in Ontario have had their beer stores, liquor stores closed, and they have some issues. So if Anybody wants us to do something about this, speak now, otherwise I'm going to call the question. All in favor of the correspondence? That's carried. Thank you very much. Going to move into committee minutes for approval. I'm going to ask our Belinda Wick-Graham to present DEI minutes, please.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. So a brief set of minutes here. This was our last meeting of the year, so it'll be really short. The committee basically at this meeting just revised the look of their social media posts going into 2026 and revised a tagline from "You Belong Here, Celebrating Diversity in Minto" to "You Belong Here, Recognizing Diversity in Minto." So that was fairly straightforward. They reviewed our 2025 action plan. As you can see, they have made great progress with most of the items being completed and began work on planning for 2026. Also happy to report we stayed within our budget and plan to have the same amount for next year. And then we just put together our 2026 meeting schedule. And that was it.
Thank you very much. A recommendation moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Dirksen. Council Town of Minto receives the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meeting minutes of November 27th as information, approves any recommendation contained therein. Questions for Belinda? Just want to congratulate Belinda, you and your group, the DEI committee. I know that you've set pretty handsome goals for 2025 and accomplishing them was amazing. And now we're on to 2026. So all in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. Belinda, would you mind
Yep.
going on with the ECDEV and planning meeting, please? Thank you.
So this is hot off the press. The committee just met last Thursday. We had a great tour before the meeting at Harriston Agro Mart. So shout out to those folks for hosting us. It was a great tour, very informative. It's always nice to get out and see our businesses and hear even more of what great work they're doing out in our community. So other than that, we had Wes Graham, our building official there, or not building official, but deputy, I guess, there to provide us a year to date of our building and planning stats. So we had that. We went over our BR&E next steps, kind of key projects for 2026, which includes continuing to work on attainable housing, developing a marketing strategy, and of course, preparing for Palmerston's Big Dig and preparing our businesses for that disruption. And then we went through our 2026 meeting dates and possible tour dates there, and then had a bunch of great updates from all of our committee members. And I just wanted to say we are so fortunate here to have such a great group of like key business people on our community committee, as well as like stakeholders from across Guelph, Wellington, and Minto area that support our work. So we're very lucky here in Minto. And then finally, we did ratify a community improvement grant, and we also have a recommendation to approve a signage grant to the Lost Tattoo that is in Palmerston. So that is it.
Thank you. I have a recommendation moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Zimmerman. The Council Town of Minto receives the ECDEV, Economic Development and Planning Committee meeting minutes for December 11th, 2025, as information, and approves any recommendation contained therein. Questions? I just want to say that it was a great tour with the Harrison Agro Mart. They have a great facility. A lot of interesting discussion was held, and we learned a lot about fertilizer and the delivery. Amazing. So all in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. I'm going to pass the chair to Councillor Gunson for staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. One report today, it's to do with the tender for the Clifford Water Tower painting results. And Todd Rogers is here to present the report. Go ahead, Todd.
Thanks, Councillor Gunson. Yeah, as council is aware, we're planning on painting the Clifford Tower this spring. So we had Triton Engineering put out a tender for us. It closed on November 19th. We only had one bidder, and that was Landmark Municipal Services. Their bid came in at $251,180. As far as financial consideration, that is within the number that we have proposed for the 2026 budget for the painting job. So yeah, that's That's the long and short of it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll read the recommendation moved by Counselor Elliott, second by Counselor Dirksen, that the council of the town of Minto hereby receives report PW 2025-025 Clifford Water Tower painting tender results prepared by the Water Services Manager for information purposes. And further that the council of the town of Minto awards the contract to Landmark Municipal Services for the total price of $251,180 plus HST. Any questions for Todd? Counselor Elliott?
Is this the same group that painted the Palmerston?
No, no, it isn't. The,
Oh, same group that painted Palmerston Tower.
no, the company that did Palmerston, JC DMI, they're no longer in business. I think they were actually purchased by Landmark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing, Mayor Turton?
Pardon me, timelines? Or did you say that? Was I not paying attention?
We're looking at the spring. It'll depend on their workload, but the tender laid out that it would happen between April 1st and probably the beginning of August. It's very weather dependent, so depending on how quick things dry up and warm up in the spring will kind of dictate when we get started.
Obviously, we'll take that thing right out of service and there'll be a process going forward.
Yeah, it'll be a bit of an undertaking for sure, and there will be some water restrictions in place, and yeah, there'll be a little extra work monitoring the system for sure, but yeah, it's something that we have to do every 20-25 years, so
Yep.
we'll make it happen.
Thank you.
Counselor Podnowitz?
Yes, through Chair. There'll be some service disruptions for the equipment on top of the tower as well?
Yeah, so we'll work with the telecommunications companies. There's definitely some of them that will have to be taken out of service at some points when there's work going on nearby them. So we'll coordinate that with the companies. It shouldn't, when we did Palmerston, it wasn't something that was noticeable to any of the customers. It's just they work hand in hand with the painting company and turn the dishes on and off as required.
Just a follow-up, are the customers notified of any disruptions or ahead of time?
As far as the telecommunications is concerned, I don't think with Palmerston that we had any kind of interruptions. If anything happens with the water, for sure, we will be notifying customers if there's any kind of service interruptions in relation to the water system.
Any other questions? Painting the same color, Todd?
Same colors there, yeah.
Nice. See no more questions, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Thank you, that is passed. I'm going to pass the chair back to the mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gunson. Next item on the agenda, I'm going to ask our Samantha Haggai to present. Samantha, pardon me.
That's right. Thank you, Mayor. This report pertains to a part-lot control application for the property with a municipal address of 320 York Street, Palmerston. The property is owned medium density residential and currently contains one semi-detached dwelling under construction. The proposal would subdivide the semi-detached dwelling into two separate lots with separate ownership. Council may recall that this property previously came before them for a severance application in December 2024 to sever the lot from 310 York Street. Town staff have reviewed the application and note that the zoning requirements are met based on the submitted reference plan. As such, staff recommend that council receive this report for information and consider passing a bylaw in open session authorizing the use of part lot control. If you have any question, I would be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Sama. We've got a recommendation moved by Councillor Potnovich, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the Council of Town of Minto hereby receives report part lot control exemption application for 137350 Ontario Limited, care of Steve Hummel for property legally described as Wallace Herman and Bolton Survey 18-11, concessional 11, part lot 18, RP 61R22 and 981 R2 in the former town of Palmerston with a municipal address of 320 York Street, Palmerston, in the town of Minto, prepared by the planning coordinator for information purposes. further that the council of town of Minto approves the part lot exemption application and confirms with the bylaw in open session. Questions? Sama? Pretty simple one. If there's no questions, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass the chair to Councilor Turks.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. We have two items on the agenda this evening for the Finance Department, and I'll turn it over to Treasurer Duff to take us through the first one.
Great. Thank you, Chair Dirksen. So this is a report. It's a bit of a housekeeping one, but it's also one kind of giving you total information. You may recall when the audited financial statements come to us, I often say, I know they don't bear much resemblance to our budget. And this is just a report that kind of explains why, because they're done on a different basis. So the way we do our budgets, we call it modified casts, but financial statements are required to be along PSAB lines. And the major differences are when we budget, we have to include the cost of, say, debt servicing. For accounting purposes, all you record is the interest. But of course, as anyone with a mortgage knows, it's not just interest, you have to pay the loan back. So that's why on our budget, we include that because we need the money to pay the full payment. Also transfer to and from reserve funds with the PSAB rules that came in 2009. Most of reserves are not really presented in the financial statements, and yet they're an integral part of what we deal with. Funding the cost of tangible capital assets. So that was the big change again in 2009. In traditional fund accounting, we would acquire, say, a truck. We would write off the whole value of the truck in the year it was acquired. However, a private business would set it up as an asset and depreciate it or amortize it, and that's what PSAB does. And similarly, and you'll see in our capital budget that we intend to issue debentures this year. That is a source of financing. For PSAB purposes, that's taking on a liability. So basically, this report makes it explicit that that's the basis. We do not budget for amortization or post-employment benefits. One that doesn't really affect us, but would be a big effect on the county budget, would be the costs of solid waste landfill closure and post-closure expenses too. So I did a little chart. This is a bit more like what the budget column on the financial statements look like. It's converting our cash basis more to a PSAB basis. So it's just one of those regulations that makes it explicit that we're not budgeting on the PSAB basis, but we're doing it on the modified cash basis. Any questions? I have to ask.
Anybody want to formulate a question?
It's pretty obscure.
Yeah,
Mayor
sure. I'm really, this stuff really is not that easy to understand, Gordon. I'm glad that you
Certainly.
are guiding us through this. I mean, if there is questions that come up, and everybody knows Gord's phone number.
Yep.
Um,
Seems like
So-
it. No.
I don't have a question. It's,
There.
thank you.
Anyone else? I'll read the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Elliott and seconded by Councillor Podnowitz that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report Finance 2025-020 budget presentation, Ontario Regulation 284/09, prepared by the Treasurer for information purposes. Anyone thought of a question? Okay, call for the vote. All in favor? Thank you. Incredible trust. All right, number Finance 2025-21.
Okay.
Back to you again.
Thank you. And I'm going to toss it to Deputy Treasurer Robertson because she was much more involved in the preparation of this one, and I'll be back for the next one.
Perfect.
Good evening, members of council. The report before you tonight presents the proposed rates and fees for the 2026.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to stop. Can you come up to the microphone? We just can't hear. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Sorry, Tanya.
All right. Good evening, members of council. The report before you tonight presents the proposed rates and fees for the 2026 fiscal year. All the fees apply to services provided by the municipality and are intended to support cost recovery while also remaining fair, transparent, and consistent with council's strategic priorities. Staff have reviewed all existing rates and fees to ensure that they continue to reflect the actual cost of delivering services, legislative requirements, and current market conditions. In some cases, fees have been updated to better align with comparable municipalities or to address changes in service delivery. It is important to note that municipal rates and fees are not intended to generate a profit, but rather to ensure that the cost of certain services is shared equitably between users of the service and the broader tax base. This approach supports responsible financial management while helping to minimize the impact on property taxation. Just a note on a couple items. Water and sewer rates that are noted in the guide have been previously approved through the passing of the water and wastewater rate study by council on December 2nd. And we've also included a new section in the rates and fees guide for the Palmerston Railway Heritage Museum related to some filming requests at the facility, which is kind of cool. Proposed rates and fees are included in the report and the accompanying guide, and if approved, the rate changes will be implemented in 2026, beginning on the specified date in the guide, as not all will change on January 1st. Staff are recommending council approve the rates and fees as presented, and if council has any questions, I would be happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Deputy Treasurer. Is there anyone with a question? Excellent report. Lots of work went into that, for sure. Well, while you're thinking, I will read the question, I will read the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Gunson and seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the council of the town of Minto hereby receives report finance 2025-021 rates and fees prepared by the Deputy Treasurer / Revenue Coordinator for information purposes. And further, that the council of the town of Minto approves the user fee changes proposed for 2026 in Appendix 1 of this report. And further, that the council of the town of Minto considers passage of the related bylaws in open session. Councillor Elliott.
Thanks. I was looking at the recreation and the auditoriums and such like, but I see the fees like for the curling floor is $619.47. Wouldn't it be better to round that off and make it 620? And that will cover your tax. I usually don't carry 14 cents.
So I believe, Council Elliott, when you add the HST, it should come out to a rounded figure.
Oh.
So that's why a lot of our numbers are odd looking. Maybe next time what we can do is look at having just say that it's HST inclusive and have the actual price.
Okay.
Yeah. So like for an example, an hour's ice is 170 flat. It's not, 170 plus tax, because then it's a nightmare for change at the facility.
Here.
No, it'll be plus HST on when someone gets their permit.
I think I've asked that before and you've told me that before, but.
Maybe, I don't remember.
Thanks so much.
Councillor Ponowitz?
Yes, I have a question on the building permit fees. My understanding is you have to have host a public meeting to increase building permit fees. Was that done?
We increased building permit fees last year and held the public meeting. There's no increase to building permit fees this year with the exception of planning fees. And that was a change through the county. So we have adjusted ours as well.
Councillor Gunson?
I'm going to go back to Matt on this one. Since we had the ice in Hairston for spring tryouts last year, is that a line we should maybe put in there just in case, or do you want to leave that out pending ice in the spring?
That's a great question. So I know for this year, we're not planning to do spring ice just because we do have the hospital gala booked in for Hairston, and spring ice really isn't a possibility in Palmerston just with needing to get the frost out. So I think that it could be something we look at for next year at this time, just because that might be something we do want to do, depending on how the whole pilot with the A and B center goes. Yeah, so that's definitely something we can take into consideration for next year.
Yeah, it's your turn, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor.
thank you, Madam Chair. I think these, looking at the rates there, I mean, I agree with you, Tanya, there's, nothing staggering other than, it looks like, marriage licenses, rehearsal fees, like looking at 33.5%, 25%, that's a cost of getting married. And we still have people lining up to come and get married. It's amazing.
That's wonderful.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I've already read the recommendation, so I'll call the vote. All in favor? Thank you, that carries. Thank you to the Treasury Department, and thank you to Matt. And I'll pass the chair back to Mayor Turton.
Okay,
And
going to ask Mr. Courtney to.
No,
join, please.
I'm actually
Sorry,
going to do
you
that
stepped
one.
up. Okay, so the next item is
we're-
the
yeah.
treasurer 2025 -09, so that's the CAO,
Yeah.
final operating and capital budget. I'll ask our treasurer
Right.
to speak on this, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm actually presenting on behalf of you for this one here. As we all know, we're under a different budget process this year. And I'm sure you'll recall at the first meeting in May, Mayor Turton directed staff to basically keep the budget process as similar to previous years as possible, which I think we have done. We're still meeting all the directives under the new legislation, but we kept the same budget dates, a lot of the same processes, and I think it was a good detailed process. Just as you recall, the draft operating budget was presented on November the 4th, the draft capital budget on November 25th, and we had an open house at the last meeting. Since then, as we say, there's always a lot going on in the fall. We had some good news and maybe some not so good news, but it did have the effect of slightly dropping the overall budgeted tax levy increase from 4.0% to 3.98%. The levy is 7,181,667. And again, we don't have our assessment policies and ratios passed. We did find out that the province has once again held education rates unchanged. So that's usually good news. So we estimate, again, what are we in the 10th year of the 4-year assessment cycle? So a typical residential house assessed at $250,000, the increase would be approximately $73 or a little over $6 a month. Even though there weren't a lot of changes, but it affected a lot of accounts. On the good news, we found our OMPF funding, which we'd estimated at an even 1.5 million, is coming in at 1,579,000. So that's good. One of the major capital grants, and this was a project that Public Works had determined would only go ahead if the funding came through. And I think it was like almost the next day we found we weren't getting the grant. So the bad news is it's always better to pay, whatever, 50-cent dollars or 25-cent dollars. But in the good news, we had to take it out of the budget. We were going to borrow partly for our share. So it ended up being a bit of a decrease because it removed one debt payment and a few other things. It's one of those projects that hit roads, water, and wastewater, and it changed all those budgets. And so you see a lot of the changes reflected on the schedule here. And there were a couple of other minor additions, transfers to reserves, and some summer ground maintenance, and a few other changes to reserves. We were able to cut the transfer from our stabilization reserve by 112,000, with a lot of offsetting changes. We also had a bit of an addition to the community services and the water capital budget. However, they're all taken care of by reserve transfers. Again, in the interest of keeping things relatively similar, you'll notice there's no budget bylaw to consider on this agenda because the budget will be deemed adopted after the amendment period. But we did want to supply similar information, so we put together a summary of the operating, the capital budget, showing sources of funding, and I also wanted to show you the reserve funds. This will not be the final audited ones because the opening balance does not include any investment income at all. It's usually probably February before we get all the final statements. So the opening balances will be a minimum. There'll still be the investment income to add to that. And it's showing the direction that the reserves, while being reduced, and we anticipated 2026 would be a heavy capital year, I think the reduction is quite manageable because we've built up our reserves in the last few years. So anyway, our recommendation is that this report just be received for information. And of course, we'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Treasurer Duff. So our recommendation by Councillor Zimmerman, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the Council of the Town of Minto hereby receives report CAO 2025-009, 2026 final operating and capital budget prepared by the Mayor, CAO, and Treasurer for information purposes. Questions? Okay, seeing no questions, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of the motion? Thank you very much, and I'd like to, again, thank you, Lord. Thank you to all of our staff, everyone. I know it's listening to the 7 o'clock news most mornings, mayors around the area talking about the new process, strong mayor powers, and how it's been different. It seems like has been a long process this year, but I know that we spent quite a few meetings talking about it. So again, the budget is, it is what it is. We got a bit of a period now before it's finalized, but hopefully come January 1st, we can get at it, spend some of this capital money and others. So thank you very much for all your time and effort to everyone. Got a resolution moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Zimmerman, that the Committee of the Whole convenes into regular council. Hold on a second. Jumping ahead, we are into announcements. I will, anyone have announcements? I'll start with Councillor Elliott.
Oh.
Wonderful.
The only announcement I have at St. Paul's Anglican Church in Palmerston are having a Christmas Eve service. It's beginning at 5 o'clock, and everybody's welcome. It's a candlelight service. It's pretty beautiful, and it's a great service. So if anybody wants to attend, that'd be great.
Councillor Potnevitz.
Just want everybody to come out and watch the fireworks at the Fire and Ice this year in Palmerston. They're going to be awesome.
Councillor Gunson.
Not much, just a safe and happy holidays to everybody.
Councillor Dirksen.
Yeah, I just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and many blessings in 26. And also just to say that many of our local churches are having Christmas Eve services or the Sunday evening before Christmas as well. They're having a number of services. So, and you're right, the candlelight services are very beautiful, for sure.
Councillor Zimmerman.
Well, thank you, Mayor Turkey. Yes, we will. Please try to get out to the churches. There's quite a number of them that are having services. That my favorite is the candlelight service. So anyway, over the holidays, Harrison Palmerston arenas are going to be busy. Thanks to Blessings to You for sponsoring shinny hockey and public skating. That's starting Monday on the 22nd, and encourage you to check the arena calendars for times. It's a little tricky to get to it, but it's there for everyone to see. Fire and Ice, definitely brought to you by Town of Minto, Palmerston Lions Club, and again, Blessings to You. They are amazing to contribute to our community. I'm not sure what we'd do without them. And that's from 6 to 8 p.m. when the fantastic fireworks are going to start. Yeah, and the rest is same as always. Wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, be safe.
Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. So just another reminder about the community Christmas dinner, which will be in Palmerston this year. Takeouts are available from 11:30 to 12:30, sit-down dinners at 1. And just a plea to people, if they know of somebody that's going to be alone or doesn't have access to food, either pick up a meal and take it to them and maybe sit with them for a little bit, or bring them along to the meal. Proceeds from this dinner will go to supporting the community pantries for the remainder of the year for those people who are experiencing some food insecurities. And happy and healthy Merry Christmas to everybody.
And I'm 100% sure that the Andersons would take some volunteers. If anybody has time. Our community is extremely fortunate to have you folks do this every year. And if there's anyone that can help, simple job like peeling potatoes the day before, right?
Pounds and pounds of them.
Carrots.
Hundreds.
And if nothing else, come on down to the arena and see a well-oiled machine. These guys have been doing it for a number of years, and it's pretty interesting to watch. So.
If I could just add one comment too, if there's anybody from the town or local police forces or fire that are out and about, because Tim Hortons is closed, there will be coffee and pie, at the very least, a full meal if they want it. But if you can pass that message along to town workers, nobody ever takes advantage of it, but there'll be a first time. Police showed up last year.
Perfect. So the other thing I'd just like to say is not all of us are able to sit at home, watch TV, wait on Santa and all the other things that we do at Christmas. We do have gentlemen and gals in the public service working at our arenas, making sure that our roads are plowed, our water and sewers, our volunteer firemen, our police service, all those folks, frontline workers are very important to us, and we thank them very dearly. All you ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. So, and I would also like just to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It's been a privilege for all of us. And we're going to move ahead to, I think I read the motion already. Resolution moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Zimmerman. Committee of the Whole convene into regular council. All in favor of the motion? Resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that the Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in Committee of the Whole. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Bylaws 2025, the Drain 95 third reading. Moved by Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Elliott, that bylaw 2025-053 be read a third time and passed open council, sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor of the motion?
No, that's okay.
Was that the right one?
Yeah.
95?
The next one.
Next one's
All right.
3, yeah.
I saw you were on.
Sorry,
Okay.
thank you. That's Councillor Dirksen is declaring a conflict. So we are voting on Drain 95 in the third reading. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. So the next item is moved by Councillor Potnovich, second by Councillor Zimmerman, that bylaw 2025-072 be read a first, second, and third time and provisionally adopted in open council. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that bylaws 2025-073 from 2025 to 075 be read a first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor of the motion? Confirmatory bylaw, moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that bylaw 2025-076 to confirm actions to the council corporation Town of Minto respecting a meeting held December 16th be read a first, second, and third time and passed in open council, seal the corporation. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. We're doing that motion right now. or we adjourn? Okay. So adjournment. Oh, yes, we'll adjourn and then we'll sing, okay? So moved by Councillor Zimmerman, second by Councillor Potnovich, that the Council Town of Minto adjourn, meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you very much. We are going to take a moment and sing like we have like we're in our right mind. And I've asked our Councillor Dirksen to start us on this.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you very much.
Good.
So here's